Good morning, Unity of Charlotte. I'm laughing and smiling because I was standing on the microphone. But just like thoughts, words need to be projected out because we know they manifest. So now I have the microphone in the right place. So welcome to Unity of Charlotte, where our mission is to nurture a deep and mature experience of God through the practice of unity principles, and they are so powerful. Simply put, we are here to love, grow, and serve. I'm Reverend Pat Dre, and I am so glad that you are with us on this Valentine's morning, February 14th, where we can share what we love together, each other, our unity, family, and the spiritual words that uplift us through the week. And this is a marvelous place to be today. Let's start today's service by sharing our statement of oneness, and then let that lead us into our opening prayer. So say together with me, there is one presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God, the good omnipotence. And take a breath right now and let it go. And another one. And let it go. And join with me. From the moment I awake from sleep, I allow Spirit to set the stage for my day, for there is only one, and I start in the one and with the one. My peace and my progress are anchored in this, and all of this makes this a good day. I know that God is the living Spirit, the Almighty One, the one that manifests itself in and through creation and exists within me. In fact, I am made of the very same stuff. And in this day, when we center on the idea of love, we remember this, that the barriers that we have in life are simply perception. The barriers that we perceive will crumble in the face of love. I know in my life that I am made of love. Love flows through me. And really my only job is to keep the conduit open, to open completely, to allow the love to flow that's in through me out to all in the world. This is my spiritual journey. And this is how I truly find, locate, and live the authenticity that I am. And in this experience that I have in my life right now, every rejection, every disappointment, every barrier is erased and replaced by acceptance, coming from the one who not only accepts me, but loves me and lives through me and gives me every good thing and holds nothing back. And in knowing this, the support that surrounds me and flows through me flows ever greater. Because I know that thoughts are things. Because I know that as I experience and express these God qualities, they flow ever so much more generously, and they affect not only all around me, but they spread throughout the globe. And so my prayer today for myself, starting with myself, is to know that I am centered in spiritual lovingness. I am fully open to the wisdom and love of the One, and I allow that to show the way. The vastness expedites my way towards the experience of spiritual lovingness. And I notice the results that show up in my life. I give full permission. I give full permission and allow myself to be in a state of love as I move more deeply into the understanding of who and what I am and who and what I am not. I become aware of this gift of source taking hold in my life, and it moves through me and about me without effort. Today, I am willing to break down any illusions about my relationships with others and becoming free, the freedom that comes from love. I acknowledge that at times I resist, but I can let go of any aspects of my unloving nature and open up to a different way. I discard the ego's illusions about love and know that today I am spiritually drawn to what is true loving. And every person who comes before my mind is one whom I can feel compassion and understanding. And in this day, I see your gifts, God, coming in and through me this day. I am truly surrounded by the abundance that fills my soul and is evidenced in my life. I am truly grateful for a day dedicated to the celebration of love. But even more, I am truly grateful for the knowing that love is what I'm made up of. And love is really all I have to share, all that's necessary to share in this lifetime. And in deepest gratitude, join with me in saying, and so it is. Amen. You know, I had an experience as I was coming to church this morning and thinking about things of unity of this last week. And there have been quite a few high moments. And I was thinking in particular about a meeting that I had Thursday night, and I will tell you exactly who was in it because it's an extraordinary group. And it is Barbara Rolfe, new to our board, but not new to unity. A woman who is filled with love and filled with gifts on how she shares that love. And Horace Bush, somebody I've known many, many years, extraordinarily loving and filled with wisdom. And so with these two people, I was also joined by Lawrence Tolliver, somebody who I call my laser light because of his ability to focus and express this teaching that we are so in love with, that changes lives. And the four of us were on this call talking about mission-centric in our leadership circle. I'd be hard-pressed to summarize an hour and a half of joy, an hour and a half of uplifting conversation, of extraordinary vision, of excitement for the future of Unity of Charlotte. And I was reminded of Unity principles. And this embodies all of them, but I'll focus on one today, that thoughts are things. There was no question by the end of that hour and a half that nobody really wanted to hang up. Nobody really wanted to end this festival of visioning, of experiencing the joy, because it already was there. And so I'm ever grateful to the people who surround me that make life so happy for me as they live these principles and express them in the things that they do and that they demonstrate over and over again, that thoughts are things and they bring forth our future. So thank you for the experience of that. And thank you to all of our board, and I'll mention who they are right now. First, I will mention Alan Batten, who just left the board as our president, who gave us an extraordinary year and brought us fully into the experience of prosperity through the thoughtful actions that he brought about on the board. I moved to Lawrence Tolliver, who is our vice president and is doing dual duty now as secretary, but I've promised him it won't be forever. That because he's so good at things, we could give him everything, I suppose, but that wouldn't be fair. We need to have some of the fun experiences ourselves. Lawrence Tolliver does a fine job at all of that. Chandan Singh. Chandan is our treasurer, and I'm delighted to be working with him on the fine financial future of our church. And we have our new board members, Barbara and Maria. Barbara is working on the community, the mission-centric, and the leadership circle. And Maria is also, she is working on our community building. And I want to say Michael Brown, who is working also on community building, but as I told him personally last week, and I tell you, the reason I am serving on the board and the reason I'm serving as president is because of Michael Brown, because of his leadership in the first group that I engaged in here at Unity, which brought about the Unity Day of Prayer. And that circle was the first circle that welcomed me in a, I guess, official service capacity. And I'm ever so grateful to be in service with you, Michael Brown, on this board, and for your welcoming attitude and how much you helped me do my service during that period of time and help me even now. So that's our amazing board, and we have a board meeting coming up, and it's filled with good news. So thank you for allowing me to share a little bit of other news, of that additional news, as I talk about the announcements. The Monday's Women Lunch Group, the Ladies Who Lunch, it meets the third Monday of each month from 11:30 to 1, and it's via Zoom until it can happen again in person. The Affirmative Prayer and Meditation Group meets on Sundays at 11 a.m. right after service. The only time it gets a bump is if we have a town hall that lasts a little later, but we will make an announcement of that when and if that does happen. The Unity Men's Group meets on the second and fourth Wednesdays from 9:30 to 11, and come and join these in-person discussions here at the church. The Course in Miracles is via Zoom, and it is on Thursday mornings at 9:30, and the link, of course, is at the website. The Dialogue is Service, which I've belonged to for 2 years. It's been transforming for me. We are starting a new book in February, and the Dialogue is Service is such a unique group led by Barbara Rolfe. It's a little bit different set of reference. It's not a book club. It is penetrating deeper, much deeper, using the book as a way of inspiring and then leading us. So please consider joining that on Wednesdays from 10:30 to 12 p.m. The link is on the website. If you or anyone you know is in need of prayer, please go to our website and link. I'm always joyful when I see the prayer requests, because we want to be part of your life And we want to be part of the joy in your life, the things that you desire to become more joyful and that you want to experience and express in your life. And also, if something is posing a difficulty for you, we are there for you. So thank you for using that link. And also you can include in that the Unity telephone prayer ministry, Silent Unity, at 800-NOW-PRAY. I want to introduce again to you somebody that is now known to you, Reverend Robin Voelker. She has given us many inspiring ideas over these last few months, and I'm excited to have her with us. She's served long and well in many aspects of Unity, supporting Unity ministers, and doing in service to Unity worldwide. In her latest formal minister assignment, she was the senior minister of Gainesville, Georgia for 5 years. And I am so pleased to invite and welcome yet again our friend and our speaker today, Reverend Robin Volker. Thank you for being with us, and happy Valentine's Day.
Good morning, Unity of Charlotte. It is great to be with you on this Valentine's Day 2021. I'm Reverend Robin Volker, and today my message is a heart for forgiveness. Our scripture to begin today is, leave your gift there in front of the altar. Go first and be reconciled with your brother. Then come and offer your gift. That's from Matthew chapter 5:24. Genuine forgiveness runs deep inside of us. It is not a thin surface band-aid that we put on the hurts of our lives or the broken relationships we have. It's not like a little patch that you put on a nail hole in a tire. It is a new inner tube of healing and restoration, a new inner change, because forgiveness is an inside job. It is a change of heart toward the offender. Too often we think that we have extended forgiveness when in fact we have just covered up our resentment. Two brothers were in a long-standing feud, and they had been snipping at each other for years, decades even, and they grew tired of this and decided to seek help from their rabbi. They went to work with the rabbi. They listened intently. They nodded when appropriate. They looked at each other when they were told to look at each other. And when the session was complete, the rabbi asked each brother to make a wish for the other. The first brother turned to the other brother and said, "Brother, I wish for you what you would wish for me." And immediately the second brother threw up his hands and said, "See, Rabbi, he's starting the feud all over again." Isn't that classic? We want other people to think of us differently than we are willing to think of them. When we talk about forgiveness, I want to stress here and remind you that it is very important to have this fundamental understanding that forgiveness does not condone another's behavior. That other person still has to live with the consequences of their choices and their behavior. Forgiveness does not mean that you have to condone or tolerate any abuse or lack of respect. It does not mean that you will instantly trust that other person again. In fact, you may not ever trust them. It does not mean that you have to invite them to dinner. In fact, you may not invite them to have any part in your life. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. Those are two different philosophies. And today we're talking about forgiveness. What forgiveness does do is it cuts the cord that keeps you tied to another person or a past event or an old memory. As long as you can't forgive someone or something, you are energetically tied to that person or experience. Nelson Mandela said that withholding forgiveness and holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Forgiveness is for whom? Forgiveness is for the forgiver. When I forgive, I get the benefit of it. Because forgiveness is an inside job. In Proverbs 17:14 it is written, "The beginning of strife is like releasing water. Therefore, stop contention before the quarrel starts." This morning I want to encourage you to take heed from this proverb. We are to watch our anger and stop conflict before it turns into a flood that washes out our relationships, the people in our lives, and our insides. It is difficult to take back words. I'm sure you've had the experience of times when as soon as you opened your mouth, as soon as you felt that breath leave with those words being carried out, you knew you had made a mistake and you try to get them back. You want to get them back. Have you ever tried to suck your words back in? But once they're out, you can't take them back, can you? A raised fist, raised gun, a raised voice. All of these indicate the same message, a message of hostility. And they are much easier to raise up than they are to take down. We are to watch our emotions. You have heard it said that thoughts are creative. Thoughts are made up of both your thinking and your feeling nature. It takes both your thinking and your feeling to create from the non-physical realm of God into the physical world that we live in. I like to say that the thinking part, that is the seed that we are planting, and the feeling is the fertilizer for that seed idea. I have been teaching a series from Imelda Shanklin's book, What Are You? Are you familiar with Imelda Shanklin? Imelda Shanklin was the fourth employee to be employed by Unity School of Christianity in the early 1900s. Amelia went to work for Charles and Myrtle Fillmore when she was young in 1907, and they schooled her, they groomed her into a minister. She was ordained in 1918, and she learned at the feet of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. Oh, what fabulous opportunity that must have been for her. She became the editor of the publications there that came out of the school. And she wrote a book. She has authored a couple of books, but the one that I have been studying is What Are You? And in that book she writes, feeling is mental reaction to things recognized and unrecognized. In its earliest stage, it is unformed thought. I had to think about that for a minute. But if you watch yourself carefully, you will discover that you feel about something before you think about that thing. Amilda goes on to say, everything originates in mind. Begin now to school your impulses and your feelings. Remember in Scripture when Peter went to Jesus and asked him, how much should I forgive? If someone in the church has wronged me, has broken the law against me, has erred against me, has sinned against me, how much should I forgive them, Master Teacher? 7 times? But you know, Jesus' reply was not 7 times, but 70 times 7. Now, the number is not the significant part of what Jesus was saying. Actually, his analogy was when you add the 0 to the number and multiply it exponentially, you are saying, as long as it takes. So he was saying, dear Peter, if you hold a resentment against someone, you need to forgive them as long as it takes for you to clear your energy. Not for the other person to change, because forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness in this situation would be for Peter. We forgive for ourselves. Now, the practice of the number can be used to our benefit if we so choose. Years ago, 25 years ago, when I was younger and new in my spiritual journey, I was in a coaching series with an inspired coach, and the work assignment was when a resentment came up for me, I was to write on a piece of paper, I forgive blank, and a short 1-line description of whatever the resentment was, whatever the trigger was. I forgive blank. I was to write that 70 times on a piece of paper for 7 days. And I was to do that for every resentment that came up over a certain period of time, over the next 2 weeks or over the next 30 days, or we're about to start Lent this week, over the next 40 days of Lent, to allow a kinetic opportunity to release that pent up energy inside and no longer carry around those old resentments, and release and clear the perceived wrongs from my consciousness. Powerful exercise. I encourage you to think about that as we start Lent on Wednesday. You and I are active participants in this life. We are all governed by universal law. We are in the game, and the game is called life. We are in the game no matter what we think of the score. The game is being played on a giant field that resides within each of us. Inside each of us, we have our own personal playing field. And forgiveness allows us to stay in the game. It allows us to be present in this moment and to be able to react to the plays that are happening today, fully present with what's happening now, as opposed to replaying a play in the game that happened 20 years ago, or 40 years ago, or 60 years ago. Without forgiveness, we're handicapped or sitting on the sidelines. We can't fully be in the game. And the game that is happening today is unfolding around us instead of with us. Jesus taught a lot about forgiveness. It was a basic, fundamental message of his ministry. It is also a basic message of A Course in Miracles, which I know many of you study. And forgiveness totally changes the outcome of the game. It is a powerful experience when we can forgive. It's a powerful experience when I can forgive. It's a powerful experience when you can forgive. And when we can forgive together, collectively, we can change the world. We have all thoughts in our minds which need to be forgiven, which need to be released. The subconscious realm of mind contains all our past memories. Our conscious mind receives images from the subconscious, from our memories, and also from our conscious awareness of what's happening right now through our five senses. The subconscious mind is totally subservient on the conscious mind. The subconscious mind cannot think for itself. It can only receive impressions. It has to take its direction from the conscious mind. The subconscious, the memory mind, holds the form of our crystallized thinking. It holds our hurts, our resentments, our hates, our habits. It is the storehouse of all past thoughts, remembered and unremembered. Fortunately, there is a greater mind than these two. Greater than both the conscious and the subconscious activities of mind is the superconscious mind, the mind of God, the omniscient mind, the omnipresent mind, the omnipotent mind of God. You and I are in spiritual practice, even in this moment, to help us to live and think more from the mind of God than from the limited conscious and subconscious activities where we spend almost all our time. To quote Imelda again, the mind of God pushes onto your mind for expression. The mind of God pushes on your mind for expression. See, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind can take impressions from the superconscious mind of God. The conscious and subconscious minds within you can take impression from the superconscious mind of God. And here, can is the operative word, because we have to be willing to allow that to happen. That is the exercise of free will. Imelda goes on to say, if you let God mind supplant what you call your mind, your thoughts change for the better. All thought is power, she writes. Better thoughts than you have been using will make for you better conditions than you have been experiencing. Isn't that why we're here? Because we believe that is true. Better thoughts than you have been using will make for you better conditions than you have been experiencing. I believe that if we really knew enough about other people's lives, what they have been through, we would have no problem with forgiving. We probably would be filled with so much compassion that we would cry. If we really knew. If we really knew what was going on for the other person, we would be able to have a heart for forgiveness. From this heart, we would allow the love of God to stretch forth and clear from our minds and clear from our hearts resentments and hostilities, angers, hurts, and separations. And it would flow from us and and even affect their hearts as well. Anytime that we expect another human being to be different, to behave differently, to change in some way so that we feel better, then we are holding them to a higher standard than we are holding ourselves. The minute we judge another person as bad or less than, or we withhold from them, then we are the ones who needs forgiveness. The minute we judge another person, the minute that we push that other person away, we are depriving ourselves of all that is lovely, and we are changing the lens of our perception from beautiful to ugly. We're coloring the way we see the world. We're tightening our filter of what we are willing to allow in. The Lord's Prayer says, "Forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors." In this sentence, Jesus demonstrates and expresses the law of mind action, that one idea must be dissolved before another can take its place. He is teaching us that the idea that is not fulfilling must be released in order for us to fill that space with a more divine idea. Thoughts occupy space. They occupy space in our mental capacity. They have form and substance, and they actually create circuits in the gray matter of our brains. We often have thoughts that take up residency in our minds without the benefit of spiritual discernment. And these thoughts bring forth fruit of their reoccurring thought patterns. They bring forth the fruit of whatever has been planted there. This is the reason why some people have the same thing happen to them over and over and over again. That error thinking must be rewritten in order for them to have a different experience. Thoughts live inside of you. Thoughts of love, thoughts of hate, thoughts of forgiveness, thoughts of resentment, thoughts of tolerance, and thoughts of intolerance. All these thoughts live inside of you. They all have an address inside your mind. They are alive and they think. Your thoughts think. They think with the power that you gave them when you first had that thought. Today, the invitation is to take away the power that you have given to thoughts that do not produce the life that you want to live. You are asked to make a conscious decision to give up any thoughts that are not to the Christ standard. When Jesus was questioned by the Pharisees about the law, his response was, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your mind and with all your soul. And second unto this is you shall love your neighbor as yourself." Surely there is no better way to love yourself or to love others than to forgive. I'm asking you to forgive wholeheartedly and without reservation. To allow God's love to move through you and to release from you any thoughts that have kept you from your promised good. Forgive yourself and then give yourself permission to get on with life. Give yourself permission to get back in the game, to write the next chapter, to live fully and completely with no resentment, no hostility, and no judgment. When you forgive, you are letting go and letting God love through you to create a greater harmony in your life and in the world. Let's take time to practice with reflection and meditation. Turn within. Just ground into this moment. Feel your feet beneath you on the floor. Feel the chair supporting you. If you are driving or operating machinery, do not do this meditation at this time. If you are someplace safe and quiet, just close your eyes and turn within. And allow this to be your time with God. Think of your heart as the physical place where God resides within you. You and God are one, and there really is no separation. Yet sometimes in our physical expression, it's easy to allow our human mind to feel a physical experience where spirit is in our bodies. Imagine that your thoughts are God's ideas coming to you. Imagine your life as expressing God's ideas. Imagine that your life is a standing lighthouse, streaming forth signals of God's shining love. Now take a few full breaths to allow this idea to percolate within you. And as you pause in this holy and sacred moment, just allow your heart to become one with your idea of God. Recognize that your heart is full of love and full of all of God's goodness. Nothing and no one can take this away from you. This image of oneness in your heart space is active and alive. It is vibrant and full. It is the living presence of the divine nature. This heart of love inside of you looks straight through any thought of separation. It removes any energy that you can be harmed or hurt. This love of God causes you to recognize your own perfection and divinity. And all other thoughts melt away. All thoughts of imperfection, of hurt, of illusion. They're simply vaporized right out of your mind. And what is left is only goodness, radiance, and limitless possibilities. In this now moment, you spiritualize every experience and you rise above all that has ever hurt you. You allow divine love to flood from your holy heart toward anyone and everyone to whom you are willing to share forgiveness. This gift of God's love is your divine inheritance, and it is given to you by grace. Now rest in the silence as you embrace your divine heritage, as you embrace the grace of God and feel your heart alive with God's love. For a few breaths in the silence. Through the power of the love inside of you, you have the power and courage to forgive, to release, to cleanse your mind and your relationships. Spirit is working in you now, blessing you, restoring you. Your eyes will have a new vision. Your mind will have new ideas. Your body will have new vitality, and your emotions will express new joy. Today, you have received the heart of forgiveness. If you accept it, say amen. It is with abundant gratitude and thanksgiving that I have been with you here in this time. Thank you so much for the invitation to share a heart for forgiveness with you on Valentine's Day. I look forward to seeing you again real soon. This has been Robin Volker and a heart for forgiveness. Good day.